Is English your second language? If it's the case, I want you to test something with me. When was the last time you had a feeling, a real strong one, like rage, grief, that special kind of love that you couldn't find the exact English word for it? Not because the feeling wasn't there, but because the language you're standing in didn't have the words yet. Now, what if I told you that that exact moment, that maddening, chest-tight moment is actually making you remarkable? Let me show you what I mean. Hi, I'm Lida, and this is Unfiltered with Lida, where we talk about belonging, identity, and who you actually are. And today's topic is about how living in a second language rewires your emotional intelligence. If you think that speaking in a second language, the challenge is a disadvantage, I want to tell you something. That is actually making you a better human than most people around you. I have one question before we begin, and I want you to actually answer it, not just nod politely at me through the screen. Do you feel like a different person when you switch languages? Maybe you're funnier in your mother tongue, more relaxed, more you. Maybe in your second language, you're more careful, measured, like part of you got left behind at the border. If that's you, you're exactly the right person for this conversation. Let's get into it. When you speak in another language, you don't just lose words, you lose a version of yourself. Here is the part nobody warns you about. When you start actually living in a second language, not just ordering coffee in it, I mean living, something strange happens. You feel like a different person. I'm not talking about your values, about your personality, but the texture of you changes. And here is why. Your first language isn't just vocabulary. It's a whole world that grew inside you. Your humor lives there, your warmth, the word that means exactly the right thing in exactly the right moment. The version of you that fell in love, that argued, that figured out who you were. All of that is in your mother tongue. And when you step into a second language, that world doesn't just pack its bags and follow you. You arrive as a full, complex adult, with adult problems, adult love, and adult challenges, but with the emotional vocabulary of a toddler. That is humbling, I know, but here's what I want you to hold on to. When your old self can't fit through the door, you get to build something new on the other side, something you actually choose. This is where it gets interesting. When words fail you, you start to really listen. Picture a completely ordinary conversation. Someone says something, and instead of just responding, your brain has to do 4 things simultaneously. First, you need to understand what they said. Second, you translate it. Third, you think what to answer. And fourth, you translate back your answer. All while performing the face of a person who's completely fine. Researchers actually have a name for that tiny delay this creates. They call it the thinking gap. And here's the part that genuinely surprised me when I first read it. That gap, that frustrating small pause, makes you a better listener. Because you cannot just respond automatically. You slow down. You notice things. The shift in someone's tone. The look on their face that doesn't quite match their words. Whether what they're saying and what they're feeling are even the same thing. You didn't choose to develop that skill. You developed it because silence was your only other option. And that's not a consolation prize, don't get me wrong. That is a rare, genuinely valuable form of emotional intelligence. Most people who grew up speaking only in one language, for them, words come fast, responses come fast, real listening gets skipped. But it's not going to be the same case for you. Okay, this one is my favorite. Science found something that I think is going to change how you see yourself. People who live in a second language make calmer decisions, more logical, less reactive. And the reason is actually beautiful. Think about how you learned your first language. You were a child. You learned danger when you were scared. You learned love when you felt it. Those words got wired directly to your nervous system. So when someone uses them in your mother tongue, they land in your body immediately, without asking. But in your second language, you learned those words in a classroom, from a textbook, from TV maybe. The wiring isn't the same. So there is a natural small pause between the thing that happened and your reaction to it. That pause is a choice. In that tiny gap, you get something most people never get, a moment to decide how you respond. People pay actual money to learn that, but you learned it just by showing up. I want to try something with you. Think about who you are in your mother tongue. Your humor, how you show love, how you sound when you're angry. Now think about who you are in your second language. Is it the same person? For me, not quite. For me, in my mother tongue, Kurdish, I feel more brave, more assertive. In the second language that I speak is Farsi. I feel more poetic, more polite maybe. In the third language, which is English, I feel more sociable, more extroverted. In French, a whole different story, I feel more careful, more logical. I don't know, but it just happens. And I want to tell you that all these versions of you are real. Neither version is fake, and neither is a performance. They are just different sides of the same person, shaped by different worlds. What researchers call is code switching, but I want to call it something simpler: range. In your first language, you inherited a way of being. Maybe you were more assertive, maybe more sociable, maybe more approachable. Those patterns came from your family, your culture, and your childhood. But in your second language, you got to design yourself. You choose, maybe without even realizing who you wanted to be in this new world, how you wanted to speak, how you wanted to show up. That's not losing yourself. That's somehow editing yourself on purpose. I'm going to be honest with you for a second. Living in a second language is hard. Some days it's just genuinely exhausting. Just the searching for words, the energy that you spend on that, it's exhausting. The feeling of being less than yourself in a room full of people who are just easy. I see that. It's real. But so is this. That struggle is building something. It's building mental flexibility. It's building comfort with uncertainty, a specific kind of empathy. Not the easy kind where you understand someone because you've been there. It's the harder kind, the kind that comes from having been lost, from having earned something others were simply handed. People who live between two languages or even more don't just speak two languages. They carry two worlds, two ways of seeing people, two ways of understanding what it means to be human. So next time, the word doesn't come easily. The next time you're in that gap, searching, just remember that pause is not a weakness. That is not a flaw in the system. That is actually the system working. Before you go, I have a question for you. Which language feels more like you? Your mother tongue or the one you learned after? Or has that shifted? Maybe it depends on the day, or who you're talking with, or what you're talking about. Leave it in the comments. I mean it. I would love to read them. If this episode named something you've been carrying around without a word for it, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And until next week, take very good care of yourself.